Hello everybody, my name is Spoons Rattling. You know what time it is. Weirdly enough, very quick delivery on this month's edition of One-Shot Combat Patrol. We have the start of the Chaos stuff here. So alright, here's our first one, obviously. With our obligatory character. Obviously, I do collect Chaos Space Marines. And I do plan to actually not use these as Chaos Space Marines. Well, some of them I will use, but I actually plan to use a lot of these Chaos Marine stuff in conjunction with the World Eaters stuff to get a little World Eaters army together, because, I don't know, I think it would be more fitting for the fluff I've made for my guys. Though also I could just run them as Chaos Space Marines and ally in some Khorne Berserkers if I wanted to. Because they're all supposed to be quite bloodthirsty and matte, even though they wouldn't have the butcher's nails. Anyways, enough talking about fluff. This guy is one I actually probably would paint up as my Alpha Legion, because I couldn't run this guy in World Eaters anyway. This is, of course, a Dark Apostle, the Chaos Space Marine equivalent of a Chaplain, and a fantastic model. Doesn't include a helmeted head, but I'm sure we will have plenty of those along with the other minis we get. Simply a fantastic model. Here you can see him right there, if the lighting isn't too bad. He comes with two little guys. This is actually useful as I don't have a Dark Apostle. I've just been using a Space Marine Chaplain. These guys will fit quite well. Here we've got our standard building instructions, how to paint him in the Black Legion styling, which looks quite sharp, I will admit, even if I do not play Black Legion. How to paint up his Dark Disciples, which he'll be sacrificing most of the time. Here we go, Dark Apostle and Dark Disciples. Let's roll a d6 and figure it out. If you notice there's a lot of paint and stuff on my desk, it's because this week I'm really trying to grind out a lot of stuff for videos and also just personal painting projects. Excuse me. So a 2, this guy will be named Lekbane. Dark Apostle likes to get into the front line and slay enemy troops with his accursed Corrosius. I think that could describe most of them pretty well, but fittingly enough. Whoops. There's your data sheet for him. This guy functions pretty much the same in 40k and in Combat Patrol, pretty much the same. He can lead infantry and gives them +1 to wound, which is very useful for the mid and low strength stuff of Legionnaires and Chosen. Pretty standard Marine stat profile. And he comes with 2 little Dark Disciples, which are mainly just there to tank extra wounds. Chaos Space Marine character names. I guess they give you one for Undivided here. So, okay, so we have to, so 4. So it's Lekbane the Dispossessed, which sounds a little clinical. His character hunts followers of other gods with vicious passion and bushes them without hesitation or mercy. Fitting for Undivided. And then you also have your different ones here. You have the Bloodied and the Scarred for Khorne, very fitting. Distorted, Mutable Seer for the Tzeentch, very fitting. Malignant and the Oozing one, also again fitting enough for Nurgle. And then Slaanesh, you have the Prince of Pleasure and the Blissful Knight, both very fitting. Here you've got going to be some Space Marines versus Chaos Space Marines. Honestly, this is very cool. I've lessened my focus on these little play scenarios because, admittedly, most of the people watching this already know how to play Warhammer. But this gives you, you pick your objective and then you decide how you're going to destroy the Tyranids and the Tyranids and the Space Marines. But you have victory for Khorne. You must destroy 5 enemy models. And then for victory for Tzeentch, you must destroy 1 or more models from each of the 3 possible opposition factions. If this victory condition is met, battle ends and you wins. For Nurgle, you must survive for 5 battle rounds with at least 1 model left on the battlefield at the end. And if this victory condition is met, the battle ends and the Chaos Marine player wins. If all Chaos Space Marine models are destroyed, the opposition player is the winner. Victory for Slaanesh. To win a victory for Slaanesh, you must inflict 12 wounds on the enemy throughout the battle. If this victory is completed, the Chaos Space Marines win. Oh, let's see. How does our Lekbane end up? damn, that's a lose. And 1 to 3 for lose, and then 4 to 6 for a win. Dark Apostle has failed. For a moment, the indifference of the Chaos God subsides, just long enough to express their displeasure at their devoted follower. The corpse of the Dark Apostle rises, and the flesh is torn and rent, mutating into an incoherent mass of writhing mouths, lumping flesh, and thrashing tentacles. There, you've got some artwork, Eldar versus Chaos Space Marines, and then you've got the standard things to look forward to in the next edition, I suppose. Speaking of, let's go on to the next edition. Let me set all this forward so I have it nice and even. Hope this isn't too cattywampus. What issue was that? We're looking for 32? That's the one with the tanks. 32. Here we go. We got 2 different things in the magazine. Okay, first up, paints. Wow, this one got really wrinkled. First up, Reikland Flesh Shade. This is actually, I think, a pretty good color to include. I haven't used it much. I've used it mainly borrowing it from a friend, but it's good for shading golds and warmer skin tones, so generally useful. And I'm definitely going to use this on my Slaves to Darkness on their golden bits. Here they have you using that Reikland on the gold, which brings it down to a very nice warm bronzy color, which is very easy to highlight, and then also putting it on the yellows and things like that. It's all very useful, generally, I would say. I mean, you'd have a pretty sharp army, you know. Obviously, they're not they don't have base texture, but that's how it is. Here we have talk of the Long War, of course. Have some classic Chaos Space Marines artwork here from 7th edition. Might have been 6th. What's the difference? But it's talking about the Long War, which is, of course, what the Chaos Space Marines have sworn themselves to ever since their defeat at the hands of the Defenders of Terra. So here you have a timeline of Chaos incursions, and also some cool parallels, right? You've got Chaos Lord to Captain, which is, of course, the equivalent. Chosen to the Veterans. This is an interesting one. Warpsmith to Apothecary. I think it's just because Chaos Space Marines haven't had an Apothecary model, despite them existing in the lore forever. Though in the rumor engine, it does look like there's going to be one soon, so that can be amended. And then you have Possessed and Aggressors. 2 flavors of elites, of course. These ones very fast and deadly. These ones very slow and ponderous. There's my boys, the Alpha Legion. My favorite Legion, of course. Can't go wrong with them. Let's see, what do they say? The Alpha Legion are seasoned warriors who place subtly in misdirection at the forefront of their plans. So masterful is their use of psychological warfare that none are truly sure whether reports of their deeds are fully accurate or whether they are lies and rumors, deliberately spread to mislead enemies as to the Alpha Legion's tactics and capabilities. First-hand accounts are rare, but those who have survived an Alpha Legion assault speak of false fronts, sudden attacks, and unexpected ambushes. I do love the way they paint up their Alpha Legion here, especially those green lightning claws, which you might not be able to see. Let me bring it up close. Hopefully that's not just completely blown out by the light. Oh, Jiminy Christmas, what am I doing? Hold on, I'm looking through my viewfinder. Yeah, there they are. See them? Like right there. I like those. Anyways, that's not how I paint mine, but I like the way they paint theirs. Then you have Word Bearers, of course, the biggest losers in 40k, because they were the first traders, and they don't even get to use that title. I'm kidding. I just, Lorgar is a wimp. I would use harsher words, but that's not fitting. But of course, Word Bearers, very fanatical, devoted followers of Chaos. Iron Warriors, very dour and quiet. Hold on. Go lay down, Daisy. She's climbing all over my stuff on the bed, my dog. And then Night Lords, of course, very fragmented in terms of command at this point, and vicious cowards, effectively. They don't like to fight fair, so on and so forth. Here we have more of that Bonds of Honor story. Here we have talk of the shooting phase, and Strands of Fate. This is talking about your faction rule for the Eldar, of course. how to use it. Of course, it's a very powerful rule, so that makes perfect sense. And then just more about the shooting phase and doing so. She's burrowing into a big pile of pillows. It's very cute. Yeah, Strands of Fate, just talking about that, even though that isn't their codex rule anymore. Here we have the Premier, which is going to be Legionnaires, which I'm not opposed to because I love this kit. I love Legionnaires. The Legionnaires are probably one of my favorite infantry kits for 40k. I think they just got a perfect update, and I love all their details. I also think they're the right level of spiky, but also properly menacing, and their armor has that Frankenstein look, done very well. So I love them. Actually, this is also huge because I'm going to have my Havocs ready for a store RTT I'm doing later at the end of this month. Yeah, well, here's a bunch of bases, of course, and one of 2 sprues for the Legionnaires. Legionnaires are an awesome kit. You just get so many bits, so many great heads. All the detail is hyper crisp. I mean, I never get sick of these guys. I make characters out of this kit. I make, you know, just normal squads. Probably just going to do a normal squad for these guys, paint them up in this color scheme. If you guys remember my painting Sisters of Battle video, you might recognize it. That model is also still, whoops, get that out of there. This model is still sitting here with that color scheme going on. Anyways, I'm going to paint these guys up in this color scheme because I like it and I want a bigger force of it instead of just a kill team. Here you've got mainly the bolters and the few of the aspiring champion weapons. Great design. I really like this bolter with the jungle mags, if you will, or flip clip if you're stupid and from a nerf. Overall, great kit. I love it. Can never get enough of it. Oh yeah, look at that artwork. That's classic right there. Some classic Black Legion artwork, and then there's the Legionnaires we've seen a million times. Paint them up all black. They look really sharp. Chaos Space Marines, one of the easiest armies to paint, by the way. A lot of people talk about how much trim there is, but the trim effectively means like everything is segmented. You're coloring in the lines. Far easier than a lot of others. I love Chaos Space Marines. Black Legion do look damn good, don't they? There's a reason they're the box art guys. Even with such simple color schemes, they just look great. Here we have talk of the 13 Black Crusades, which of course is what took Abaddon 13 tries to finally win one of those, but he did win in a big way. Here you've got, of course, Chaos Legion, Chaos Titan Legions, Black Legion, Iron Warriors. This is the 13th Black Crusade, obviously. Right? Yeah. Well, because the Custodies are here, so, you know, Gilliman must have been. Wait, no, because the 13th... What? I'm so dumb. Gilliman was after the 13th Black Crusade, right? Because he was after the Cicatrix Maledictum? I think so. I might be getting my timeline mixed up, but the Custodies are there, as are the... Well, no, because there's... You know what? Call me dumb, because I am very dumb. Obviously, this is after Gilliman showed up, because the Primaris Marines are here, which Gilliman brought with him on the Indomitus Crusades and all of that jazz, and also gave the decree for the Custodies to finally leave Terra. They should have put Color Sergeant Krell here charging at Abaddon, because that's when he died. Here we have all the Black Crusades. I think this is when he got Dracnian. But, you know, the 13th Black Crusades are often joked about because there were so many of them. But, you know, he did gather his strength across all of them. So even though the 13th was the one that split the galaxy in two, you know, there's something to be said there. I love this artwork, this Cornate guy, probably a berserker. Here you've got more info on them. You've got Scarbrand. I don't think I've ever seen that Scarbrand paint job. See that? That's definitely not the one that's on the web shop. I know because I want Corn Demons. And that is not Scarbrand. Or it is Scarbrand, but it's not the one I'm used to seeing. Blood Crusher, Skull Cannon, Scarbrand. Talking about weapon abilities, very important to know for playing 40k. And then, this is an insanely old piece of artwork, but it is a good one. Covers most of the Space Marine arsenal, from plasma pistols to assault cannons. Even though most of these weapon patterns are now pretty outdated. Obviously, we don't really see plasma guns like that anymore. Anyways, here we have talking more about just doing another scenario. So it looks like you just have different armies you can tap into for what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, you pick a mission for each god. Those who win great victories for Khorne will advance to greater battles and get more powerful gifts. Those who discipline Khorne will be sacrificed alongside his enemies. Will of Zinj, it's just talking about what they like. And then Chaos Undivided, of course, very potent. And then here we have on to the next. Now, interestingly, I think this is... No. Flip, what? God, man, I really need to stop getting ahead of myself. I said I would have Havocs this month. Obviously not. Havocs are next month, not this month. Havocs and the Hellbrood are next month. Sorry, it's not super late, but it is way later than I usually record these. It's around 8 o'clock. So I'm not on my A game right now, and I've been looking at a lot of stuff, so my brain's all full of info. Put that there. Here's the rest of the Legionnaires. Definitely a great kit. Can't wait to build these guys up with lots of chain swords and all sorts of weaponry. Here's some more classic Chaos artwork of him pondering a Chaos Space Marine, a Ultramarine's head. Very good art. Here you have building. Talking about how this kit includes spares. It does include a lot of spares. Here it talks about the different weapons that they tell you to equip them with, but obviously just build them however you want to have them more useful outside of Crusade. Though admittedly, giving them a melta-gun and a heavy weapon is not the end of the world. That's not even unreasonable. Here you have talk of the Black Legion, which is of course the main poster boys. They are the Sons of Horus. Oh man, I do love this. The different Cult Marines painted up Black Legion. Cult Marines look good in their home colors, but they almost look better in others. This is also rather old artwork. Look at that. Look at that depiction of a Noise Marine. That is very old. But the Plague Marines, you know, look fantastic. I mean, everything looks good in black and gold. That is just objective. Damn, they look sharp, don't they? Here you've got the big man himself, Abaddon, and his Terminators, because Abaddon is cool. I like Abaddon. The Mark of Chaos Ascendant, which of course does elevate him to insane powers. Here you have him with the Planet Killer, his own little Death Star, if you will, and Drachnian, his big-ass demon sword. Here you have some stories about some Chaos Space Marines. Legionnaires, where did I put that dice? D3, oh yeah. 2, so these Legionnaires collect grisly trophies from the battlefield, which they use in dark rituals dedicated to the dark gods. I guess I'm not... the Chaos Space Marine naming sheet. Chaos Legionnaires, always useful. They're just really cool. Why not? I kind of have nothing to say. Personally, I would equip them all with melee weapons and just give one or two guys special and heavy weapons. The rest is kind of unnecessary. Just give them, you know... here we go. So we roll 2d6. We'll use this dark one for the horizontals, and bring out a blue one for the verts. So he is, we go 1 in, 5 down. He is rend, and yes, his crew will be tines. So his name is Rend. All right, and then their epithet would be, whoops, 5 and 4. So we go in 5, go down 4 for the grave diggers. Ren's grave diggers. Not the most imposing, I'll admit. Grave digger just reminds me of that monster truck. And I'm not even into monster trucks, so that's kind of funny. And then here you just have talking about making attacks and inflicting damage. Then your standard guff. Next, I actually have looked forward at the contents. Next month is going to be Havocs and the Hellbrute. So definitely have that to look forward to. Pretty good addition this month. Orc Flesh is questionable in how much you can use it. Personally, I prefer higher contrast Orc skin. Reichland Flesh Shade, generally useful. So good paints, and then of course you just get a lot of plastic this month. You get a 10 squad of these guys and a very worthy character to lead them. And since you get bonus helmets, you can put one on that guy. Overall, great month. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.